very much.
How are you doing?
I'm good, and you?
Awesome. I'm doing very well. I have two other people who... The national spokesperson of the new running mates is a retired journalist. He would refuse that he's not retired. He also is into cocoa business at Cocoa Board. His name is Fiifi Boafo. Fiifi, you're welcome.
Thank you.
How are you doing?
It could have been better, but it's not bad.
Retired journalist selling cocoa. Nice job. I should also want to do that.
Well, when I grow up, I want to have dinner on top of the Eiffel Tower.
Look, you're going to make me speak my last French. Je ne mange nothing on top of the Eiffel Tower. But anyway, mischief ignored. My third guest is the director of communications of the campaign, the Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia campaign. He's a retired district chief executive, then national communications officer, Dennis Miracles Aboagye.
Mischief Umaru Sanda.
Oh, yeah, that's it. Communications of the campaign, the Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia campaign. He's a retired district chief executive, then national communications officer, Dennis Miracles Aboagye.
Mischief Umaru Sanda.
Oh, yeah, that's it. How are you guys? Everything good?
Yeah, very good.
Let me start with the regional man. He is the one hosting us. Mr. Dufo, how is Kumasi receiving your son tomorrow?
Thank you very much for this opportunity. As you could see when you even came to the grounds, that Kumasi is fired up. Right from, let me take this opportunity to say a big good evening to my listeners. Right from the time the name came up, which name am I talking about? Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh. That very day the name came up, everything in Ashanti region changed.
Okay.
Those selling along the street were happy. Market women were happy. Traders were happy. Sellers were happy. Buyers were happy.
Even the sellers in Bosomchi.
Look, everybody was happy. Students were happy. Teachers were happy. Lecturers were happy. Party people who could, in quotes, say they have retired, all of a sudden became energized, all because of one particular name.
Matthew Opoku Prempeh. What does he mean to the MPP in Ashanti region, first of all? How huge a figure is he?
You know, apart from me being the regional organizer, I'm the dean of all regional organizers. I'm talking about all the other 15 regions.
Okay, you are the Oga at the top.
Yes.
Okay, Oga Kwata.
And the very moment his name was mentioned, we have a platform. And you could see there were various reports that I was getting from all the other 15 regions. It tells you, before even his name was mentioned, people were looking at that particular name. I was not surprised that various surveys that came out, his name was on top. It tells you there's something in that particular man. He is the caliber of person that carries people along with him.
I see.
He's a charismatic leader. Like, he's a doer. He's such a person that if you want to work, he will help you to work. That's the man, Matthew Opoku Prempeh.
Interesting. Let me bring in Fiifi Boafo. Fiifi, I don't know, how well do you know Napo to be made his spokesperson? Give us the history that you have with him and who he really is and how working with him is.
So, 3 days ago, a friend who is a mutual friend of myself and Napo sent a video to me. And this is a video it was a recording I did for his 50th birthday, 6 years ago. And I was talking about when we first met, our first interaction, and the kind of relationship we've had since we met. We first actually met in 2008, after the first round of the
primaries
elections.
Okay.
You know, the 2008 election, that was the first round. Yeah. So he was newly elected member of parliament for Menchia, then Menchia constituency. So we met at Dankwa Institute.
Okay.
And here there was this.
And this was when you were a journalist?
Yes.
Okay.
As very assertive. He had an opinion, a well-informed opinion on issues. So it was interesting having a conversation with such a person. So that's when we became friends. Okay. 2008, before the second round.
16 years ago.
Yeah. Wow. Actually, how time flies.
At the time I was in the village. It's okay.
Welcome to town.
Thank you.
And that's the kind of relation. From there, we've been engaging. One of the things I love about him is he loves to make his point. You will not force him to keep quiet. He will make his point and he's at an informed position. He is somewhat well-read. In fact, I'll share that video. I was tempted to share it on social media, but I just said to myself, well, let me give it some time before I share it. Because one of the things I said in that video 6 years ago was that my expectation was for him to become the Minister of Energy.
Oh, wow.
I said that
when he was education minister.
Okay. Because whenever we met, one of the things he used to talk about was the energy sector.
Okay.
And his knowledge in the sector was amazing because this was somebody who was trained as a medical doctor. And then the sort of things he used to say. So in that video, what I said was that considering the things he was doing at the education minister, because he was a medical doctor, and what I knew of him even before he went to energy, then it was an indication that it was not somebody who was just good at what he has been trained or educated on in classroom, but it is someone who will fit in any environment when he's given the opportunity. And I think that all of us are witnesses to what he can do when given the opportunity.
Let me bring in Dennis. Dennis, prior to the announcement and the presentation of his name to National Council, lots of names came up. As a campaign, it must have been a difficult path for you to maneuver to finally settle on one, or you had already settled on your mind and it was just we in the town making noise.
It was easy. I mean, we have a flag bearer that's quite decisive. He knows what he wants. He thinks through a process from end to end before he sets out to do it. And so it was an easy choice. What the difficulty rather was the waiting period.
Okay.
And so really that was a difficult period. The period where you have to endure all these conversations and communications and interactions going around it and wait for that moment, the moment we're about to experience tomorrow, So that's the most difficult bit. Otherwise, he set out to look for two critical ingredients in that running mate. One, who is that person, like Fee said, that has that capacity to support him, back him up in the execution of the bold solutions he's proposing for Ghana's development going into the future? Who is that single individual? And the decision to settle on Napo was quite straightforward. His delivery in the education sector and the energy sector is not in contention. It's not in doubt. I mean, since he was mentioned, I don't think you've heard anybody say, oh, Napo is incompetent, oh, Napo is a no.
I've heard people say that Napo has refused to give us a Doomsor timetable when we had Doomsor. I've also heard people say Napo is arrogant. How do you deal? And I'm going to let Fifi talk more on that. But
so let me deal with the two issues.
Yes,
let me deal with the two issues.
It looks like a baggage. How do you deal with
these two issues? So that person who has wide experience, exposure, has been a go-getter, results-oriented person, has shown working and has a scorecard to prove that he delivers when you give him a responsibility. That is the person Dr. Bawumia was looking for as a running mate for the execution of his vision. And secondly, before you get to form the government, you must win an election. Who is that person that would bring that huge political capital to balance him out? The areas that we need to shore up and push the numbers up. Who is that individual? It's obvious that Napo is one of the most experienced political hands you have in the country right now, not just in our party. 4-term member of parliament, widely experienced, done so much across the length and breadth of this country. And there are two ministers of this country who become very popular. Ministers of Education and Ministers of Youth and Sports. So clearly, in terms of his popularity on the ground, and not just in the MPP, but across the country, especially when he was responsible for implementing one of the unarguably socially impactful policies we've seen in this country, the free SHS, with millions of beneficiaries. Think about all these kids who have benefited. Think about their parents. Think about their siblings and what it means to them. And so that political capital Napo brings to the ticket is something that Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia is looking out for. But Umaru, to answer the other question, so there is no baggage. I mean, this is the least of baggage you can think about.
Okay. That
you wake up one morning and you are not told that you cannot be a vice president because you are incompetent. You are not told that you cannot be a vice president because you are corrupt. You are not told that you cannot be a vice president because you don't deliver. You are dull, you are incapacitated. But you are warned, which is expected. I mean, one of the things that you should expect as a politician is that people will try to sew and wear you with some design, whether it fits or not. If you're not ready for it, you can't go out. But the good news is, it is very difficult for you to tell somebody that Umaru is like this. The easiest way for Umaru to prove you wrong is not for him to tell you, I'm not.
That's for sure.
To experience. Napo is unveiled tomorrow. He goes on the ground to interact and engage the people of this country. Give us a month. By the time we end July, you would hear people say, oh, but this is who Napo is and all of, and they tried so much to make him, because you do not tell people who you are, you show people who you are. And it's just a matter of time.
Fifi, so this issue of the arrogance tag, I'm sure you've seen it. You know him, you work with him. Let me ask you a direct question. Is Napo arrogant?
The answer is no.
So why do people say that?
You know, just like Dennis was talking about.
How humble is he, first of all? So the opposite of arrogant, I think, is humble, right? My grammar is mistaking me tonight. But yeah, how humble is he? What kind of person is Napo outside the media circles? His family life?
I think he's very jovial.
Like, does he go swimming, riding bicycle? What kind of things does he do for fun, that kind of thing?
He's so jovial. So recently we were trying to do a photo shoot for him. And then he was like, you know what, Charlie, this thing our guys are asking me to fake me, I can't do it. Mm-hmm. And I knew how to get it. So I started playing Kofi Kinata's song, Things Fall Apart. Okay. And then he started dancing. He's your regular guy. He's a brother.
Okay.
A fun-loving person. But you see, what people do not realize is the fact that, apart from the things I talk about, that he's a fun-loving person, when it comes to real work, there's no time for you to play. It is to get results. So he will compel you to deliver such that he will have a result to show. So in such an environment, if you are there and you are not pushing as expected, he will push you to get results. And you realize how sometimes we behave. Why don't you at least give me some time? I want some space to do certain things my own way. For him, it is the result way or not your way. Mm-hmm. And you definitely have people who feel that, well, if it's not allowing me to have things my way, then there's something wrong with him. But just like Dennis talked about, this is a person, I have experienced him. I know him. When he steps out there, when people start engaging, because you know what? Just imagine this record. Education minister in the Republic of Ghana for 4 years. And there was not a single strike. Oh, you have your TAUs, all those associations within the education sector.
No strike for 4 years, are you sure?
Yes.
Okay, I haven't done that research. Maybe I should check.
There was no strike.
Really? For 4 years?
The level of harmony, you are surprised. So just imagine an arrogant person dealing with all these associations and there was not a single strike. I've heard people who dealt with him, the account of such persons. I watched a video of the Komfo-Anokye chief executive, who was his schoolmate. He worked with him when he was UTAG president at Legon, when Dr. Prempeh was the minister for education, and he says he's surprised when people say that Dr. Prempeh is arrogant. I've also seen the dean of the University of Cape Coast Faculty of International Relations. Oh, okay. Thank you.
Hey, Director of Communication. So you are producing the man.
So he says, I have known and worked with Honorable Dr. Matthew Poku Prempeh, Napo. I got close to him during my time as the National Secretary of UTAG. He is such a fine, humble, and competent gentleman. If you get close to him, you'll get to know that he's down to earth with a great sense of humor and has a very good interpersonal skills. He is a great manager a visionary, and a doer. He is compassionate and does not discriminate. During his reign as Minister for Education, he had an excellent working relationship with unions, and his charisma always kept strike actions. His charisma always kept strike actions. He speaks his mind and is forthright.
So these are the words that are spoken of him by someone who has worked with him. Okay. So that's his character. We've talked about it. Let me talk about another thing. Ethnicity is critical for the MPP in this election. So for the first time, you've produced a person from the north to be your flag bearer. The last person, John Ejekun Kufuor, of course, from the south, Dubuahim from the south, Nana Akufo-Addo from the south. Now you have Bawumia from the north. And so there was a need for you to bring a ticket from the south. It's not compulsory constitutionally, but we have this gentleman agreement of a sort. Since Rollins and Akar fell out, we started doing north and south. Let me come to Ashanti region. He's an Ashanti regional organizer. How excited is the Ashanti base for the MPP on the choice of Napo, i.e., does ethnicity matter in this election?
Yes, and yes, I would say yes. In the sense that, where is Napo coming from? He's from the royal family. He's coming from Aboagye Fiifi. And you know Aboagye Fiifi. When you talk about Aboagye Fiifi, Kufuor is from Aboagye Fiifi.
Okay.
Napo is coming from Aboagye Fiifi. You know the track record of Kufuor?
Yeah.
He's loved by all. That's what I'm saying. We are going to measure the Ashanti kingdom. When you go to Menchia and you look at the chiefs that form the Ashanti kingdom, and Otumfuo sits on the throne, one after the other, the Nifahine, the Benkuhine, and so on and so forth. And one of their sons has been appointed to the highest, an incoming vice president. You know what it means? They hold it in high esteem.
What will be the role of royalty in tomorrow's program? What will Menchia Palace do? Is there any? Can you enlighten us briefly?
Why is it that anybody comes to Ashanti region, the person wants to go to Menchia? Have you realized that? You go there to seek the blessings. Before whatever you want to do, you start. Tomorrow, God willing, we are going to seek the blessings of Otumfuo in his kingship before even we come out to unveil the perfect ticket to Ashanti. It tells you are giving the Ashanti kingdom that due respect.
Very well.
And it's very important.
Very well. Dennis, we have to wrap up now, but your running mate is going against another former minister for education. Pound for pound, you believe your candidate is better?
That's been the easiest, the easiest way. I mean, I actually, Umaru, what I think we should do as a country is to basically measure them on that score.
Okay.
Because you see, Napo is a medical doctor. Our opponent's running mate is not a medical doctor. So it's not a common variable. You can't measure them on that. Our opponent is academic. You can't measure Napo on that. The only common variable that you can use as a basis to test both of them
is 4 years at education ministry.
I think we should do that. And Napo is ready for that. Her performance was abysmal. And you can easily compare. So what we should do is basically draw a table.
And first year, you put the records there. Second year, so cumulative record.
And then when you finish, we look at who really impacted the sector. and who brought.
So we'll see who built e-blocks for you to come and implement your free SHS with.
And who built over 2,000 dormitory blocks and classroom blocks to accommodate 100,000 that she left out.
And who hurriedly introduced free senior high school and now feeding our children with rice without fish.
Who slowly improved on secondary education and left 100,000 home every year. You understand?
Who forced parents to be paying for extra classes for students during vacation because they are doing double track?
Who denied two schools with chalks and forced PTAs to contribute to buy the chalks?
Let's leave it there.
So we are going to really take our time to do this, and then when we finish, we weigh
and then choose
that which of you are results-oriented and goal-getters. Umaru, Ghana is moving to another level where we are in a competitive global space. We need fast thinkers. We need people who are thinking on their feet and getting results. We're not looking for people who are always thinking progressive. Progressive at a pace is important, not just progressive at an accelerated pace. The world is not waiting for Ghana. The world is moving. So who is willing to take that bold decision on the spur of the moment to get this country going? And that's where we are as a people.
Fiifi Boafo, after your candidate is outdoor tomorrow, what next? Are we going to see him? How is it going to be like? Is he going to lead a campaign separate from flag bearer? What's the strategy that you can share with us which is not going to be copied by NDC? Please, that one.
Well, the tickets is led by Dr. Bawumia. He is the presidential candidate. It's interesting to realize that now the NDC is comparing John Mahama to Napo.
Oh, really? I haven't seen that comparison.
Because the conversation is now between Napo and John Mahama. Sorry, Napo is only the running mate to Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. But of course, unlike maybe other candidates, Dr. Bawumia realized something in Napo, that he's a guy, when you give him a job, he will get it done. So after the inauguration, you will surely find Napo on the ground, engaging, interacting, the people having a feel. And there's a gentleman, when you give him a job, he will get it done. There's a gentleman, when he was asked to implement free SHS policy, after the government inaugurating the government, nominating him as a minister, going through vetting and swearing in, by September, already free SHS was being implemented. This is a guy, when you give him a job, he'll get it done.
Very well, gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining us on Prem. Unless any of you has anything to say, we have to wrap up. Please, Dennis has something to say. Yes, Dennis, say something.
I'm saying that tomorrow history is going to be made.
Okay.
If you cannot be in Kumasi tomorrow, just sit by your TV.
Watch ChannelOne.
Watch ChannelOne TV.
Director of communication. You have to be upgrade your.
I'm a board member of
update your this thing.
Watch ChannelOne TV tomorrow.
Thank you very much. And listen to Orange FM and City FM.
So Ashanti is alive.
Okay.
Right now.
Very well.
And tomorrow you should expect the whole of Ashanti region, the whole of Bono is the 5 northern region, Eastern Volta, Greater Accra, Western Central region, Western North region, all come together behind a ticket that is bringing real hope to the people of Ghana moving into the future. Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia and Dr. Matthew Opoku.
Regional organizer, any last words?
My last word is very simple. Tomorrow, the actual event is taking place. No one should sit in the house.
So 11 o'clock, right? Starting time is 11 or 1 p.m. or 2 p.m.
You know what happened when Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia came to Ashanti region? The last time he came, it would be far, far, far ahead of that one.
So it will be Beja or Nyamanya.
Kumasi will be brought to a standstill.
I see. I'll be here to watch and report for that. Thank you so much. That's the Ashanti Regional Organizer of the NPP, Francis Adumakun. Earlier, you heard Director of Communications of the Bawumia campaign, Dennis Miracles Aboagye. Before that, Fiifi Boafo with Cocoa Board, but also he's a spokesperson of Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh, a.k.a. Napo, who is a running mate of the NPP flag bearer into election 2024. That would be it for Eyewitness News tonight, which came to you in 2 studios. One studio in Adabraka in Accra, that's number 11 Dr. Morton Loop in Adabraka in Accra, that's City FM Studios. And that's where Nana Tufo Boatin hosted from. And then this studio where I'm broadcasting from, Orange 107.9, Kumasi's music leader, broadcasting at the Kumasi City Mall here in the Ashanti Regional Capital.